Next up then, we will take a look at the Champions League draw, which was made yesterday, and we'll go through the teams. We'll give some initial thoughts on this. Now, the first tie, Copenhagen, Man City, if you look on paper, you'd say that Man City have done it again. They've iced the balls and they've got an easy first round fixture. But if you look at what Copenhagen have been doing, that first game away is not going to be easy for Manchester City. Those fans this season, it has been some atmosphere there, and obviously they've got the results to back it up. There is a real belief in that team. I'll go through all these fixtures quickly and then I'll give some predictions at the end. So we've got Leipzig, Real Madrid. That should be a good game. PSG, Sociedad. Sociedad doing very well to get through, but you would expect PSG to get past that hurdle. Lazio, Bayern Munich. That's a nice tie for Bayern Munich. Lazio, in my mind, the weakest of the three Italian teams still left in this. Very well played to the Italian teams. AC Milan dropping into the Europa League. Just two English teams made it through the group stages of this year's Champions League. PSV Dortmund, Inter Milan, Atletico Madrid. That's the tie there where the bigger teams are very pleased by it because it means one of those teams is obviously going to go out, Inter Milan and Atletico Madrid, and nobody really wants to draw them, especially if you're a big team, because it is a bit of a tricky game that away at Inter or away at Atletico Madrid. Porto, Arsenal. Arsenal going back to Portugal. It was Sporting that knocked them out of the Europa League, wasn't it, last year? You would expect them to get the job done there, although Porto are scoring goals for fun this year. So I wouldn't put it past Porto scoring, Arsenal having maybe to get the job done in the second leg. Napoli, Barcelona is the pick of the bunch, to be honest, in terms of the names, the history, and just the potential matchup. So I'll give a prediction for this one, and then we'll go in reverse order and give a prediction of who will go through out of all of these teams, and then I'll just give a general prediction as well for who I think will win the Champions League this season. So Barcelona, not in the best of place at the minute, but it was only a month or two ago that the praise was so heavy for Xavi and Barcelona and what he was doing there. So they are a young team. They are a team that's being built at the moment. So that means they can come in and out of form. It only takes maybe an injury or two for them to get slightly derailed. But there's no doubt they've got the quality, and the same goes for Napoli. This will be a tough one to call, and it could come down to Napoli getting a goal or two in that first leg. It is at home for them, so it's important. I'm going to go with Napoli to progress here. Porto, Arsenal. I think Arsenal will progress. I think we have this bias, me certainly, about Arsenal. I can feel when I'm trying to make a prediction, but it's based on the last few years. It's based on what they were. This season, they seem to have turned a corner in terms of the way they just go and get jobs done. I mean, against Brighton have scored against every other team in the Premier League. And if you look at the XG against, Arsenal are statistically, I think, the best team this season. They are the toughest team, I think, to play against, that's for sure. Defensively, they are so solid. And whilst Porto are scoring for fun, they're not necessarily playing Arsenal every week. So Arsenal to progress there and to give a very good go of this competition, by the way. I'm sure it'll be right up there for Arteta in terms of his goals this year. Inter Milan, Atletico, I think I tweeted about this one when he got drawn, just said under 2.5 goals. That's all I said. Two teams that love to defend. Atletico Madrid away first, so you can see them going there and trying to get a draw. I expect that to be 0-0 the first leg, and then whoever might go through in the second leg. I'm going to go with Atletico Madrid to progress over two legs. They've got that Champions League pedigree. That said, Inter Milan, of course, last year finalists. I think there's been a slight drop-off in Inter Milan, and Griezmann at the moment could be the difference in that game. PSV Dortmund, if you're not aware of these two leagues or you're not up to date with them, you might just navigate naturally to Dortmund here, but PSV, their form in Eredivisie should not be overlooked. Of course, teams can run away with that league. It's been Ajax in the past. Feyenoord have had their time as well, but PSV at the moment, they are absolutely incredible. 16 wins out of 16, 56 goals scored, and just 6 conceded. That is, even in the Eredivisie where teams can run away with leagues and dominate for a couple of years here and there, even in a place like that, that is special. That is very, very good. So I just think it shouldn't be discounted when it comes to the Champions League and Dortmund especially, who, as I record this, are 5th in the Bundesliga, 1 win in the last 5 games, 26 points. In comparison, Leverkusen have 39 at the top. Unbeaten Leverkusen, 7 wins out of 15 for Dortmund. So yeah, now these fixtures are in February, which is interesting because whilst we're looking at the form and the tables right now, PSV could drop off. Dortmund could go on a run. You never know, but just in terms of what the team's trajectories are at this moment in time, I'm actually going to go with a PSV progression here, back in the slight underdog, if you will. Then we have Bayern Munich away at Lazio in the first leg. I think Bayern Munich will just, maybe score 5-6 goals on aggregate in this fixture and quite easily progress. Harry Kane's going to be right up for that Champions League, isn't he, after the defeat with Spurs in the final. He'll be buzzing for another chance to potentially get his hands on the trophy this season. PSG, Real Sociedad, you would expect PSG to go through. I think Sociedad have got the potential ingredients to make it tricky for PSG, and PSG, of course, have got that pedigree of bottling it in the Champions League when it comes to key moments. I do think they'll have enough here, and again, playing at home first for PSG, they're going to look to just get the game won in that first leg. Real Madrid, Leipzig, I don't think that's a difficult one. I think Real Madrid are just exceptional. Bellingham is having the season of his life, and they are obviously, for many people, one of the favourites for the competition, given the coach, more than anything. I think Ancelotti in the Champions League, he just knows how to get to those latter stages. So they will be there or thereabouts this season. And then we end with the holders, Manchester City away at Copenhagen. That first leg is very, very important for Guardiola. They just need to make sure they don't lose, I think. And because we've seen this year at the Etihad as well, they're not solid. You know, they're 2-2 against Palace, 2 very late goals. They're not assuring you as the viewer. When you watch them, you don't feel assured. And yes, that is certainly the case when Rodri's out, as it has been a few times this season. They cannot lose him again at any stage this season. He needs to keep his discipline. He needs to stay fit, which he's usually very, very good at, because he is vital. And the defence at the minute, Pep needs to sort something out there. He needs to stop fiddling with it, I think. You know, he's playing Gvardiol, he's playing Ake, playing Akanji right back, he's playing Akanji centre back. I think they need to settle, and I think John Stones potentially coming in and having a run of games will help that. But they just he needs to settle on a team, basically, because I think City, in their best spell last year, you could name the team. You knew who was going to play. Grealish had that great run where I think he played about 11 games in a row. From kind of Jan onwards, you know, the key periods of the season when these knockout games come around, people talk about Rodri being out, but I think selling Gundogan was a mistake. So, of course, I do think City will progress, but I don't think Copenhagen will make it easy for them in that first leg. And I wonder how Copenhagen feel, because of all the teams they could have got, you know, Man City, it's kind of the best and the worst. They're obviously delighted to have drawn a big team and have a big team coming to Copenhagen. It'll be, you know, a historic night for them, but they've not been drawn the best hand, so to speak. But they probably thought that when they saw the groups. You know, if we look at the group stages, how many people would have said, oh yeah, Copenhagen will go through easy, when you've got Bayern Munich, Galatasaray and Manchester United? That was a group of death, yet here they are. So what is one more hurdle? Now, in terms of winning the Champions League, my pick is Bayern Munich. I think they've got a very, very complete squad, but I think it could be, depending on the draws, of course, a Bayern-Real final. They are the two strongest teams by far, and to be honest, in my mind, there is not much between it when I make that prediction, because Bayern, I just think with the firepower of Kane, the midfield is incredible. Real Madrid's midfield is absolutely 10 out of 10 as well. And then defensively, they're both solid. So yeah, it's a toss-up between those two. I think Arsenal, depending on the draw as well, if you get a nice draw, then it can make things a lot easier for you, because other big teams might knock each other out. If Bayern and Real are drawn against each other, every other team in the competition is absolutely buzzing with that, because it just means one of them is going to be eliminated. Who would be my dark horse to maybe get to the semi-final or the final? Arsenal, but I don't know if I can class that as a dark horse. Inter Milan got there last year. As I said, I think there has been a bit of a drop-off. Barcelona, potentially. I know I said Napoli will go through, but, you know, Barcelona, when they do turn it on, they've got some really, really good and exciting players there. And Xavi's obviously got experience himself. You know, we saw with Zidane how important that can be. Coming in, you know, he managed Castilla, the Real Madrid B team. You know, you never necessarily managed in the Champions League, but it just shows, you know, if you know the competition and you know what it takes to win it. Obviously, Zidane, Ancelotti, both winning it as players as well.